been packed into a 5-week block when it's normally 8 weeks. So I think we'll see a couple of errors here and just a little bit over enthusiasm by the Scottish defence creeping offside.
So Meta's left footer standing. You can actually see the heat haze coming off the pitch there. Anybody wondered if it was 31 degrees here? And nice solid kick there, but a pretty easy one, and an early 3-0 lead for Sandy Bay. So one of the things that we missed coming to the game slightly late there is we held a minute's silence at the start of the game. Two people unfortunately lost in the last few weeks. Johnson Lee from Gai Wuhan Football Club and Gran Headley of the Sandy Bay and Hong Kong Football Club sadly passed away. So a minute's silence was observed at the start of the game for both of those. So our thoughts go to Johnson's wife Eva and his two daughters Asia and Sophia, and to Graham and his wife Vicky and daughter Sula and son Dom. Condolences of the whole Hong Kong rugby community. So we're back to the action here, and the AR there, young Rory Crombie. On the far side there is the youngest international referee. And Josh Dowsing carries the ball up in midfield. Thunder Schmidt tries to get over. Juresevic clears it. Carl Sullivan with a good carry there. So moving the ball. And Shawnee Taylor there gets his arms through the tackle there, but couldn't quite get the ball away. So Scottish in the early exchanges here, taking the ball to the line. And it looks like not rolling away. So Matt Rodden laying down the law very early on. And it looks like Gregor McNeish is lining up for a shot at goal.
A couple of strong carries there by Josh Dowsing. And Carl Sullivan getting over the gain line. Nice quick ball, and that's sort of a really good platform for the Scottish backs to strike off after the first line out. So
also good to see Sean Taylor carrying there. He got his hands through, but he sensibly drew it back in because there was no one to offload it to. But I think good signs of open running rugby. As we said pre-game, Brian, both these back divisions got some real firecrackers and star power.
Absolutely, I'm excited to see both of these backlines have a go at each other. To be fair, that was defended pretty well, but again, like Scottish a few minutes ago, Sandy Bay just creeping offside, getting a little bit too excited.
Yeah, good to see Dean Squire, who's the exchange from London Scottish. And I've got to say that by Gregor McNish's high standards was not a good strike by any stretch, sliding wide right.
Yeah, but uncharacteristic from Gregor. You'd expect him to nail those. But touching on Dean, he's part of the exchange with London Scottish. Jack Parfitt's gone over to spend a season there. Hopefully the championship kicks off soon in the UK so he can gain some experience. But Dean's been looking really good in pre-season, so I'm excited to see how he fares today. So a deep dropout 22 fielded there by Sal Mboj, one of the new Hong Kong Scottish imports. And a good hard carry into midfield. Dowsing getting his hands on the ball yet again, but Sandy Bay defensive line the match of it. So driving tight, one off. Rory Drummond slips a couple of tackles and he's into green grass here now. Can the support get to him? Good tackle there by Nick Cummings. And the support is there, so really good breach by Drummond there. And McNeish and Sal Mboj shows his talents there, breaks the gain line again, and Juresevic gets the ball to Dowsing, pops the ball back up to Drummond. Really inventive opening here, and a really wide ball to Connor Hartley on the outside there, and it gets tackled into touch. So some fantastic play there by Rory Drummond. Yeah, absolutely, some great stuff. He's trimmed down quite a bit since he arrived in Hong Kong last year, and he prefers to play back row, and he's worked hard in the summer, stripped down, and he's now been thrown in the second row by Hamo. So that's a back row's nightmare, creeping towards the props on the front there.
So there was an infringement there somewhere at that previous breakdown before the ball got out to Connor Hartley, who was tackled into touch.
So it gives McNish the opportunity to redeem that first kick of his. And I've got to say, lightning doesn't very often strike twice. A little bit closer.
Good confident call, Roy. Well done.
Say just about on the 15-metre line, yard or two inside the 22. The haunting melody of the bagpipes playing in the background there, Brian. Does that stir any emotion for you?
Absolutely, that'll bring goosebumps to your old Highland Cathedral going nicely in the background as McNish nails those three.
So 3-all with just over 6 minutes played, coming up to 7 minutes. And it's been a pretty lively start so far. Nip and tuck, games been played in both 22s, but not really too much structure. It's a little bit helter-skelter at the moment. So Nick Cummins from the west coast of the South Island of New Zealand, around the Greymouth area, shapes to take this kick-off. Comes to the right-hand side, looks like he might have overkicked that, but Seb Bryan gets his hands to the ball, but well tackled into touch by Salem Boge. So what can you tell us about this new player, Sal, on the left wing here for?
Yeah, very, very handy player, very quick. Used to be with Exeter University. I think he played a few games for the Chiefs. So he comes highly recommended. Good pedigree, and played a bit of rugby in the national leagues in London last year.
Okay, looks fairly solid so far. So there's some kind of infringement there, possibly a knock on.
That was a great kick-off, to be fair. Seb O'Brien unlucky to get pushed into touch. That would have been interesting to see if he'd managed to stay in and Sandy Bay recycle.
Looks like the put in the feed is going the way of Sandy Bay. Oh no, got that completely wrong. As Peter Juresiewicz has thrown the ball there. It's a tight shot with Jack Lamb.
You'll see on the back of the Scottish jerseys they're wearing the tartan of Dottie Weir, the My Name is Dottie Foundation. The club's been supporting this foundation this year, raised a load of money, and it's just great to see that tartan incorporated into the kit now.
So Dowson takes it quickly and takes about 15 metres. Brett Wilkinson won't be happy with that defence. Looks like Kane Bucat gets his first real carry of the ball. Juresiewicz moves the ball to the right to McNish and goes to the air. It's a very, very deep kick. Meadows is under it, takes it just inside the 22 and marks it. Bit of a diving outfield catch there. Looked like mid-wicket boundary.
He did well there. There must be a little bit of a swirling wind. Either that or McNish got the old dead duck up in the air for him.
So from just inside the 22, puts it directly into touch, and on this side, we haven't mentioned him so far, AR Patrick Kwok marks touch just inside the Sandy Bay half on this near side touch line. So it's also good to see Ale Nordoni out there, Brian. Unfortunately there he rises and takes that great line out. It's his first game back since breaking his leg in the grand final 2 seasons ago.
Absolutely,
Mike Green gets up to that, but Alex McQueen comes up with the crumbs. Slater moves the ball to Ashton Hyde. Ben Featherstone gets over the ball. And now a stink over the top. Goes looking for Seb Bryan. And referee Matthew Rodden's bringing it back to some infringement, possibly an offside at that previous, marking offside at that previous ruck. But an inventive little dink over the top there from Liam Slatem looking for Seb Bryan.
That's very smart from Slatem. He reads the game exceptionally well. He could see space out there, and he probably knew that they had the advantage as well. So that's pretty smart play by the number 9.
So push the ball deep inside the Scottish half. So as we said, this game is a bit of a midfield arm wrestle, and nobody really getting any ascendancy or structure to what they're doing. And so Alex Post, Sandy Bay hooker here, throwing this ball in, and to Ben Davey with a line out spike, nearly grabbed by the oncoming Scottish player, but it looks, Scottish have come up with the crumbs there. Carl Sullivan, another good carry. Good drive in there.
Yeah, all good. They went back. Yeah, really good.
Dean Squire gets a touch and a wide ball to Connor Hartley. Shepherded by Tom McQueen. Good to see him back out there with his brother Alex. Many of these sevens players back in the game now. And it looks like Sandy Bay have got the turnover and they seem to have an advantage as well. So Slayton digs the ball out. Ben Davey gets caught well behind the gain line there.
Roll away. Where you are.
But not rolling away is what referee Matthew Rodden adjudges there. So Sandy Bay be pretty happy with that, having shepherded Connor to the touchline there. And now getting the opportunity to carve off some metres. Nick Cummins pushes the ball just about the 10-metre line. So, anything shown for you, Brian, so far in these early exchanges?
Yeah, it was a great ball over the top by McNeish. Obviously identified a bit of space there with the opposition wingers flying up, but it's pretty sloppy from Scottish, getting turned over a couple of times down the right-hand touchline. Interesting to see Sandy Bay set a platform now with big Luke van der Smit running off 10. I'm sure we'll see that coming into fruition soon enough.
So rising at the front there, Ben Davey. And now Pryor gets one of his first carries. He's a really heavy carrier of the ball. Carries fairly upright, but always takes some metres. Alex Post driving it up on the fringes there on the edge. And Slayton brings the ball out to Cummins, to Van der Schmidt, as you say. But Josh Dowsing meets him squarely. Fairly heavy contact between some big men there. Pryor, a bit of a show and go, but gets knocked back in the contact. Good clean out there by Sandy Bay. Cummins steps inside, not held in the... Ooh, he was adjudged to be held in the tackle. Mr. Rodden really sharp on that. Cummins felt he'd slipped that tackle and went again.
Yeah, a couple of strong collisions in the midfield. I'm intrigued to see how this plays out, the two number 8s going head to head. But yeah, that's a good penalty. Scottish will be happy with that. Drive the ball near enough to the opposition's 22, and it'll be interesting to see if they can set a platform.
As you say, Van der Schmidt versus Dowsing is really a straight head-to-head for that Hong Kong number 8 jersey, and some pretty heavyweight contact there, as you said. So Brad Tuff, the ball goes deep. Jack Lamb in with that tackle at the back there, but Scottish have recovered a rather messy line-out ball there. And Harry Barron takes the ball up there. Juresevic rips the ball wide. Mike Green's been fairly quiet so far, but that's a really strong carry, but he's been turned over. Alex McQueen gets the ball to his brother, who bounces out of a couple of tackles there. Advancing, Slayton rips the ball, and Van der Schmidt comes on to that. Met by Carl Sullivan in a heavy tackle there. Van der Schmidt, Gare Curry. Oh, and another big contact there. Ben Davey, Kane Bukat. Not for the faint-hearted here. Nick Cummins trying to keep the ball alive. I think that might have just gone forward, but anyway, play on for the moment. Seb Bryan picks everything up. Jack Lamb out here on this 5-metre line. All swung in field. Rory Drummond getting stuck in there. Slayton dipping in there. A lot of appealing for a high tackle there, but Ben Featherston picks the ball up. And now it's come back out to Jack Lamb, who's this converted back rower. Pryor gets through the tackle there, makes some good ground. Cummins into half back to Ben Davey, puts his head down and goes absolutely route one there. And off their feet while clearing out. So all that good work undone, but some first time that any side's really kept a few phases together, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the refs are going to be hot on that sort of off your feet in the breakdown, but Scottish will be pretty happy with those defensive sets. A couple of big collisions, did well to mark Slatham running vertically across the field. I think it probably was a high shot on him, so Scottish were a little bit fortunate, but the penalty goes their way.
To be honest, you've got to get pretty low to put a low shot on Liam Slatham.
That is true.
He runs, not only is he not the tallest man, but he runs pretty low to the ground. He's just having a quiet word there with Rodden, the referee, just saying, could you just keep an eye on that, sir? So Harry Barron, line out there. Oh, and that is very uncharacteristic from Dowsing.
I think they're firstly lucky to get away with the not straight there. There's a few sort of appeals from the side, but yeah, frustrating. Interesting call there to go to the back. Barron missed the line out before, so I think Scottish probably just need to make things a little bit easier on themselves and take some easy, quick ball in the front or in the middle. But hey, Sandy Bay will be pleased with that. Good opportunity to relieve some pressure now.
So I'm always keen to see when there's no competitive jump for the ball. If it's just slightly askew, it's good if referees let it go, especially if it's going to the back. So I think this is second scrummage. First one ended up in a free kick for Scottish. So on the Sandy Bay tight head side, Ben Featherstone. The thing whipped down there. It's a real battle on this side of the scrum. Mikkel Christiansen. I think he was a star perhaps in the under-20s when you were coaching them, yeah?
Yes, yeah, he's been on a few tours, I think 3 sort of starts at Loosehead. He's come on leaps and bounds. He's part of the sort of partnership with DB Pirates. There's a few players that have come through that. Ali Nardoni's one of them, Marky Coburg's the other. So it'll be interesting to see him on his Premiership debut, well, his first start, I should say, up against the big fella opposite him, Ben Featherstone.
So we've got a bird's eye view of this scrummage on this side. Featherstone chasing his feet. Slayton calling for them to go, looking for the advantage, and eventually gets it. Some real shrieks of excitement there, but looked a bit like a dog's breakfast to me, to be honest.
It did indeed. I've got no idea what was going on in there, but there was a lot of whooping and hollering afterwards. Anyway, we'll leave that one there. We'll leave the big chaps to scrap that out in the front row or in the bar afterwards.
Gare Curry with his big left peg forces the ball down to just outside the Scottish 22. It's been a long time since Sandy Bay have been down this half of the field. So Scottish with scrum half Juresiewicz in the 5-metre channel here. Defending Alex Post. I'd say so far that oh, there we go, he calls that one. Interesting times. I would in truth, I think Scottish ought to have the ascendancy with Sullivan and Drummond and Nardoni, and Kane Bucat is obviously a good line out forward. But another mess there. The ball drops to Pryor, who just strides through deep into the 22. Van der Schmidt, another big carry. Seb Bryan cleaning out, and now coming back to this right-hand side. Ben Davey gets his head through, drives it hard. Pryor over the ball, pops it up to Featherstone, takes the contact and then moves through it. This looks like a fairly set play that Sandy Bay are going through, and they've got the advantage there, not rolling away. So Van der Schmidt, good tackle on him.
On the ball there.
So it looks like the real head-to-head wherever Van der Schmidt goes, Dowsing is following him and getting a shot on him.
Yeah, no, those two are sort of marking each other quite well. That's a pretty soft penalty by Scottish, not rolling away. Brad Tuff made the tackle and didn't make any effort. He looked up and pleaded to the referee, and the guys aren't going to let those slide. So quite a sort of straightforward, I would say, opportunity for Sandy Bay to strike back.
So Sandy Bay have got somebody down on the ground there. I think that might be Ben Davey. No, it's not Ben Davey. Could be Van der Schmidt. After that heavy tackle by Dowsing, yeah, it is Van der Schmidt. So he's a fairly tough Dutchman from your home country, Brian. He played the first season. He didn't miss a single minute of the entire Premiership season for Sandy Bay.
That's unreal. I mean, he's been a huge coup for Sandy Bay. I mean, yeah, you're right. This guy's tough as nails. He's been sort of breastfed, I think, on blended biltong. You know, he's massive.
So Meadows with a solid strike there and takes the score out to 6-3.
and it looks like we're going to a water break. As I say, it's 30 degrees here in Hong Kong.
We're not going to get perfect pictures. We're happy with that.
So far, Brian, it's 5 penalties apiece. So I think that's really what's punctuated this first 20 minutes of this game.
Absolutely, just a bit of tit for tat. Each other trying to feel each other out in the opening sort of quarter. A couple of sloppy mistakes, but at the same time, the teams are trying to find a bit of shape. You can see what they're working on. A couple of hit-ups, big strong carries in the middle from both sides, and looking to exhaust the space around. So I think tactically, both teams have been, having a good crack at it, and we'll like to see how that goes for the next quarter.
Also, so far we've got 8 turnovers that Sandy Bay have recovered from Scottish, so that's really hampering their progress as well, Brian.
Yeah, that's very high. I think 3 or 4 of them have been down on the right-hand wing as well. Hammer will be pulling what little hair he has left out, just getting turned over on the floor. Sandy Bay's breakdown work has been fantastic. They've been winning the race to a number of those breakdowns and those turnovers. So I think that's something that Hammer will be sending the message in towards the players now.
Yeah, and so far I think both lineouts have been fairly sloppy as well.
They have, yeah, they have. I mean, it's interesting on Harry Barron getting an opportunity to come in and start, through the injured Dane Yan, so he'd be wanting to rectify a couple of those throws. So obviously, they're not all his fault. Hookers will tend to put a bit of the blame on the jumpers and the callers, but it's just not necessarily functioning as well as it could be.
But it was interesting to see, I thought, that there was one not straight there that was called against Alex Post, and Scottish opted to throw the line out rather than go for the scrummage.
Yeah.
The normal wisdom is take the scrummage as being more certain possession.
Absolutely, and I think that sends a clear message just in where things are with the front row. There's obviously a number of injuries. We mentioned Dane, Faisal Solomano, Owen Evans has gone home, so you'll see that for the rest of the game. I think opting to take line outs and quick taps as opposed to going for the scrum.
So McNeish opts to kick deep right, fielded by Slatham, who puts the ball back. And a bit of aerial ping pong here. Nick Cummins goes up, takes the ball, beats the first tackle, dribbles the ball along the floor, and it's a real mess on the floor there. I'm not quite sure what's happened, but it looks like Scottish have recovered the ball. So Juresovic rips the ball, Carl Sullivan, now McNeish, and it gets out to Salim Boj. Big fend, he's looking fairly busy on this ball. He's wrapped up, rolls the ball back, and Juresovic comes down this blind side of Nardoni, chasing the ball, shepherded into touch, and there must be some infringement that Rodden was playing advantage for. And Van der Schmidt is down again. These are worrying signs for Van der Schmidt and Sandy Bay. That heavy tackle that Dowsing put in on him just before the penalty was clearly affected him. So the infringement just on the 10-metre line, about 15 metres in from that right-hand touch, and McNeish doesn't hesitate to have another go. Obviously feeling like he got himself in the groove with that earlier successful kick. So as we said before, with this camera angle that we've got here, you can actually see the heat haze coming off the pitch. 31 degrees here. It's a pretty hot day. So McNeish, good strike, it's got the distance, and it's wide. So pretty uncommon to see McNeish miss two in a game.
Yeah, no, that is definitely uncharacteristic. I mean, his previous one was from a similar position, so he obviously thought he had that range, but just push it anyway. He's keeping the pressure on, and I don't think that'll do his confidence too much damage. He isn't necessarily too much of a confidence player when it comes to those kicks, so he'll keep having a crack. He'll wipe the slate clean and give it another shot.
He's obviously played those couple of test matches at the back end of
2019 in Europe, and I think he's been the class 10. And as you say, he doesn't get in the least bit phased. Seb Bryan rising for that one with Mike Green. And the pressure there has really told on Scottish, but I think we're going to come back for a knock-on. Looked for all money like it came off Bryan's shoulder, but it's been adjudged, I think, a knock-on.
Yeah, I think you're right, and Scottish need to be a little bit more clinical on those turnovers. It tends to sort of lack a little bit of urgency there. You could see the Sandy Bay player wasn't sure who it was diving on the ball. So this scrum will be an interesting one. I think it's the Scottish's first put in. So interesting to see how the new look front row holds up.
So Juresic, 23 minutes gone here. Kings Park, Hong Kong. And a quick put in, and Dowsing's fumbling in there for the ball. Slatem's all over him. And Salmon Bose slips that tackle. He's really proving to be a handful.
He is indeed, but that's what I was saying earlier in the break. Sandy Bay winning that race, the first man to the breakdown. Fantastic turnover, and unfortunately it looks like Sol's just picked up a little knock, but he is looking pretty sharp in his opening 23 minutes.
He looks incredibly busy when he's on the ball. He's always got his arm out, fending, stepping, keeps those feet moving. He's one of those guys who you think you've tackled, he's like a slippery eel, he's gone. So let's hope that this is nothing too bad. He looks like a fairly tough character, so pretty sure he's going to get up. And that was one of those classics, though, Brian, where he kind of made that break and bust against the run of play, and he just lost all of his support.
Absolutely, yeah, he is too quick for his supporting forwards to hit that ruck. But yeah, he is a tough chap. I hope this isn't anything too serious. He can shake it off and get back to business.
So this is very much like an early season game where a few mistakes, people still working out partnerships and patterns. So time back on. Gare Curry, the co-captains of Sandy Bay, along with Liam Slayton. That left boot of his pushed the ball just inside the Scottish 22. So this is just about where we were 10 or so minutes ago. Mike's supposed to be looking for a little bit more accuracy. I think there seem to be some issues, perhaps more with the lifting than the throwing on for both teams.
Just wait. If you're out, you need to be back 2 metres.
So that one was straight, but referee Rodden is having none of it. See this clear blue sky in the background here, Kings Park. Ben Davey at the front there, and he rises, and that's a good take by Sandy Bay. They stay on their feet and they start the maul there. Alex Post has got his hands on that ball. It'll be interesting to see whether they try and take this forward. They've got a good move on here. They need to move and grab this ball in field. The ball moves in field. It looks like he's going to knock on there, and Dowsing gets the ball away. And now Rory Drummond opens those legs again. That's the second time he's seen green grass in this game. Dean Squire rips the ball. The ball gets into Sean Taylor's hands. And now it's in Mike Green's hands. He's always been a handful. Steps through the first couple of tackles, but then a good tackle there. And yeah, absolutely good decision there by Rodden, putting his arm out for the advantage. Slow to roll away there, held the ball up. Hong Kong Scottish have the ball, it looks like a new advantage. And McNish gets the ball to Sean Taylor. Another good tackle there. Ben Davey covering that ball up. Juresic gets the ball there to Nardoni. Really good drive by him.
That's forward.
Forward pass.
Very good play. I think Rory Drummond might need a new set of lungs after those couple of breaks that he's had, but some really good defence initially by McNeish to force the turnover, and it's great to see Mike Green hanging on to that ball, getting over the game line and milking that penalty.
I'm guessing that Drummond has probably got most metres carried on green grass so far. I'd say he's made 50 or 60 metres in those 2 runs there.
Absolutely. No, as I said earlier, he's leaned down quite a bit and he's looking in some serious nick. So that's a good option, I think, by McNeish to plug the corner. A couple of metres out, it'll be interesting to see Scottish's driving game now up against Sandy Bay.
So the first thing's going to be, the important thing is going to be the throw. Throws in the lift. And whether Sandy Bay goes up in the air or they just, no, Sandy Bay stay down on the ground. Drummond gets the ball, gets his shoulders through. Pryor rolls out of the way.
2 tacklers in the way.
There's already an advantage there for Scottish.
There's a knock on there, but I was playing advantage. Both tacklers had to get out of the way.
Yeah, Scottish will be feeling quite lucky after that one. It was a poor line out.
So Jurecevic taps quickly, gets it to Drummond. And it's very, very tight there.
Gee whiz, for all money I thought he had gone over there, and if anyone deserves a try in this first half, I'd say it's Rory Drummond.
Absolutely. I've actually seen this, I think Exeter Chiefs have been the ones that have done this tap and go on these penalties 5 metres out. Let's not mess around and have to catch a line out, let's just get straight into it. Luke Cowan-Dickey must have had 4 or 5 tries in this this half of the Premiership season.
Absolutely.
Jurecevic, that quick tap up to Drummond. It's pretty tough there on Sandy Bay and Pryor, because he made the tackle, but because Drummond had got through the gap, it was always going to be difficult for him to roll out of the way. But a good decision by referee Rodden. So first chance that Scottish have really had to put Sandy Bay under the pump and put them under pressure inside the 22 with their hands on the ball. Lots of options here. Connor Hartley, has always got to be considered a threat. He's standing directly behind McNeish, so he can break either right or up on the left shoulder. So another messy ball, but Dowsing waits for Sladen to tackle him and then just goes straight through. It's going to be interesting to see. Rodden is looking there to see whether that's grounded.
Whistle's gone, lads. Whistle's gone. Stand up.
But I think that was some pretty cute play there by Dowsing. He let Slaten come through and go chasing after the ball and then just step through, and he'd already left him behind. But it looks for all money like Pryor has got under Drummond there again. Referee Rodden is going to go and ask his AR Rory Crombie if he saw a grounding. But you can normally tell from the players and their reaction, and it doesn't seem to have been an overly confident reaction from Scottish there.
Yeah, scrum was a little bit messy, and as you say, good work by Josh Dowsing, and I think the scrum has been given for held up. Yeah, it looks that way.
I've got to say Dowsing has done incredibly well there, because that was a real mess in front of him, and he's reached in, stayed strong, and got himself through there. I think one of the last number 8s that we saw like that in the Hong Kong competition was probably Parley Torty. He would always manage to make some metres out of something that was going backwards. So really good play there from Dowsing.
Got to go straight to be rewarded, boys.
So I think the really important thing here for Sandy Bay, if they're going to defend this, they need to put the heat on the actual scrummage, try and disrupt it before it gets to Dowsing's hands. Slate him like a little terrier in there after Dowsing. It's a bit messy there. Rory Drummond offering Ash Hyde some advice there on the loose head side of the Sandy Bay scrum. Obviously Ash Hyde, a former Hong Kong Scottish player, made the switch two seasons ago. He's been an integral part of the squad since he came to Sandy Bay.
Yeah, very good player, Ash Hyde. You know, he came over to Scottish, had a good impact, wasn't getting the game time he would have liked. And it's great to see him getting a regular run, sort of very good around the pitch. But you're right, this scrum is an absolute mess. Scottish is going to try and get this, you know, straight through channel 1, straight to the number 8 as quickly as possible, and hopefully set up a phase.
Crouch.
So Connor Hartley's now back out, hugging that right-hand touchline. I'd figure it would have to be an option. He's a tough man to stop from 5 metres out. Dowsing gets the ball, but he runs straight into Drac Lamb and gets pushed backwards. That could be another penalty. Van der Schmidt over the top there. Drummond, great ball to Nardoni. Brings the ball back. Jurecevic rips the ball. Dean Squire gets hit solidly by Davey. McNish back on the inside. Some good D. So Jurecevic puts the ball inside. Good hands there by Drummond. Gets the ball inside. Now it's Kyle Sullivan. Some good work there. Putting some phases together here. And now on the outside there, very close. It's 5 metres out. So Jurecevic pushes the ball to the left-hand side, and they keep coming the same way. Kyle Sullivan carries the ball strongly there, and Drummond, who's been a thorn so far in Sandy Bay side, goes oh so close again, right under the posts. Right under the posts. Somebody diving in there, looking to get to the base of the post, and Jurecevic is now over the ball. Surely Scottish have got to keep this tight. Some good D. Kane Bukat, and some really good hands there that the camera work missed. And the opening try of the Saxo Markets Premiership season. Great pass from McNeice there to Salon Boge.
Well, if it wasn't going to be Rory Drummond, it was going to be Solon Boge on his debut, Premiership debut for the club. It's fantastic. A bit of handling to get the ball out wide and send him away in the corner. But good bit of patience from Scottish. I thought it looked a little bit predictable at times. A few inside balls. But that's a great little offload. Who's that? Connor Hartley. Yeah. That is a fantastic little offload to free up Sol in the corner. So great patience by Scottish, and they'll be delighted to convert that pressure into points.
Some real good skills there, as you say, from Connor Hartley. He's a big man, but having done a number of tours with him, he's a juggler, card tricks, all sorts of things. He's pretty skillful for a big 6'4" winger.
Yeah, he does sort of have long levers that he tends to get through. I won't comment on the magic and everything else that he does in his spare time, but yeah, that was a fantastic offload and a good start by Scottish there.
So far and away McNish's toughest kick so far. Ooh, another good strike, but slightly off to the right. So pretty uncharacteristic day for McNish, but Hong Kong Scottish nail that first ball across the whitewash and take the lead, 8-6 with about 6 minutes to go to half time. So they've really put together some good phases there. You can see Liam Slayton had a quiet word with Mr. Rodden there. And down in the in-goal area, it looks like Van der Schmidt is getting more attention. This could be 10. So another great kick there, hanging. A really good contest there. Salon Boge takes the ball under pressure from Seth Bryan. Bryan making a pest of himself there. A really good carry. So pretty consistent refereeing there. I think he's given that for maybe cleaning past the ball or coming in from the side, but you know, I've got to say, I think Mr. Rodden is having a very good game so far.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. He's consistent. He gave a penalty to Scottish, you know, for a similar thing. But you know, that's soft by Scottish. They have the possession. They'll be frustrated with that, and it's an easy out straight after scoring for Sandy Bay to strike back and take the lead.
As you say, that is what we would commonly call a coach killer. Craig Hammond will be not happy about that, that's for sure. So Metters, this is his third attempt at goal on the 22, just between the 15-metre right hand and the right hand upright. So he settles over this ball. Both McNish and Metters have pretty similar kicking styles, short run-ups. But Metters metronomically takes the lead back. So this is a real arm wrestle, just like all the games that we've seen between Sandy Bay and Scottish over the last couple of seasons, Brian.
Absolutely, I'd expect nothing less, but that's a great strike, and I think the Sandy Bay forwards will be pretty chuffed with that. Just keep the scoreboard ticking over, playing in the right areas.
So it looks like McNish is going to go that deep right again. Oh.
Speaking about coach killers, I was about to sort of call that, but I think Connor Hartley was about 3 metres in front of the kicker there. That's a very, very soft turnover again.
I would go further than to say a coach killer. I would say that's a hanging offence.
Absolutely.
You know, absolutely the last thing you've just conceded that you want to be giving away is a scrum midfield on the halfway line when your scrum has been under pressure. This is, you know, I know everybody's keen, it's the first game of the season, but that's a really basic fundamental mistake there. So let's see if Scottish can put any pressure on Sandy Bay when they don't actually have to worry about hooking the ball and looking after it. It's often the more difficult thing to do. So post strikes the ball as Slayton things. Looks like Slayton is calling for the drive. He's calling for the drive, doesn't get the penalty, so Cummings comes to the right. Metters, oh, good ball through to Seb Bryan.
I think they did have the penalty advantage there off that scrum. Just some good attacking play, a couple of blocker lines running down, sort of Scottish defence biting in. There was a fair bit of space down the touchline for Seb O'Brien, but Sean Taylor does exceptionally well to charge that kick down. But in saying all of that, it's a penalty on the halfway line, and referee Rodden has indicated that they're taking the 3-point option shot at goal.
So I'm not sure whether this will be in Metta's hands. Skipper Gare Curry, the long-range kicker. He's often shared the kicking duties with Metters, but Metters has very much been the go-to guy for Sandy Bay in the last couple of seasons, and but Gare is very much the longer kicker. The ball falling off the tee. I don't know what that can be down to, because it's very little wind here at Kings Park in Hong Kong. Around about 31 degrees, not getting any cooler. It's a big long strike, but it looks like it's been pulled to the left.
That is a massive strike. He had quite a few metres left on that, and I think Scottish will breathe a sigh of relief, because that was quite a soft penalty to give away on the halfway line.
And referee Rodden has blown for half time, so real arm wrestle, Brian.
Absolutely, yeah, real arm wrestle. I think both teams will be relatively happy with how things are going on. Obviously a few unforced errors, but that's what we've come to expect in the first game of the season, but some positive signs from both sides, that's for sure.